Good morning. Excuse me. Good morning. We see that volume up here. Good morning. Good morning. Is this working? Check, check. Check. Hey, there we are. Ah, yes. Good morning. Everyone is fine. You're all fine. You're okay. You're okay. It's going to be all right. It's Friday, October 6th. And we're looking at some cooler temperatures. So it was like 49 degrees when I woke up this morning, and tonight's supposed to get down to 38, I believe. So yeah, we're heading into fall. Let me get rid of this stupid thing. You guys don't want to see a windshield view. You spend a lot of time with the windshield view. So anyways, let me do a text here. And be rolling. All right. I love it when a plan comes together. Just had a truck tell me he's loaded. All right. And I've got a text on the other phone. So, good morning. I hope all is well with you. I know I told you that you were well, but who am I to tell you, right? I want to talk about something that you may or may not have thought of when it comes to dealing with. Now, this pertains if you're a company or owner op or lease op. I always talk about backup plans, right? I always talk about backup plans. Now, you've heard the concept of a bug out bag, right? So, you survivalists, you should always have a bag ready to go. So, if you got to leave, you're not trying to pack things up. Oh, kind of like remember that movie War of the Worlds with Tom Cruise, his version, and they decide that they have to get out of there, and they put a bunch of stuff in a box and got out of there and realized they didn't really have much. And then when they got to a point where they had to see what food they had, it was all condiments. This, like, obviously the guy didn't have a bug out bag. And this does pertain to trucking, and you'll have to forgive me. I'm fighting a head cold. So, as a survivalist, you should always have a bug out bag. Something you can grab real quick and leave, right? Now, some of you, I know, because I've talked to you, have that in your truck. You have a list of things that are in a backpack ready to go. All you got to do is throw it in, and then you can leave the truck. Now, but something that's more realistic is you need to have a bug out plan. This is not a survivalist thing. This is just a common sense thing. And so here's what I'm talking about. Let's have a hypothetical scenario. Okay. We have a couple of scenarios. Let's say that you work, everybody remembers Arrow Trucking about, what was it, like 10 or 12 years ago? Everybody got the notice that they needed to take their trucks back to the nearest Freightliner, and they had shut off their fuel cards, and you had a lot of drivers that were stranded. And hold on. And they had no way to get home. So you had a lot of companies that stepped up and say, "Hey, we'll let you guys pick up Arrow truck drivers and get them home." And a lot of people were having to leave their trucks because they couldn't afford fuel home. Now, the ones that were smart or had the ability, it's not about smart sometimes, it's about having the ability. They were able to pay for enough fuel to get them to the house and then let the repo people take over the truck, or at least get the trucks to the yard. There's also been cases where people get to their yard and the gates are locked. The building's closed, right? So I've always kept, and I learned from those lessons, I always kept enough money for fuel to get home, just in case situation like that. But what do you do if your truck is disabled? Let's say you have an accident and the truck is indrivable. You cannot drive that truck. Do you have a way home? Do you have enough money for a hotel for the day until you can find a way home? Do you have enough money and or a credit card to get you a car rental to get home, or God forbid, a bus line home? Because you could easily get stranded somewhere, especially if you're a person that lives in the truck. So if you're one of these people that are living in your truck, you don't even have a home, what do you do if the truck gets disabled? Do you have the resources and the money to get home? Well, obviously, if you live in the truck, what is home? Where are you going to go? And these are the things that you have to think about, because there will be a day that that might happen to you. And that's something that you should think about. And again, I don't care if you're company owner op, I don't care if your truck's paid off, I don't care if you're making lease payments, because especially, like, we'll use Snyder Finance as an example. Snyder Finance allows you to take the truck wherever you want, and what if they stop supporting you? I've seen that happen several times. I'm not knocking against Snyder Finance, but they have drivers that they help and drivers that they don't help. So what do you do in that situation? Do you have enough money and or maintenance account and or credit to get the truck towed after an accident? Do you have money for a hotel? Do you have a way to get home? What if no one can pick you up? What if you're out in the remote middle of nowhere and there's nobody traveling? None of your friends are traveling by you. What do you do? Do you leave all your stuff in the truck? So, I mean, these are things that you need to think about, because there's going to be a time when there's not going to be anybody there to save you. And that's something that you need to realize. Just like I have protection at home. Why? Because there might be a point where the cops ain't, I once had, so back in my early 20s, I once had to call the cops for somebody that was vandalizing our porch, right? It was it was like 3 in the morning. He kept trying to get in the door. Now, I didn't have the protection tools I do now, which is probably a good thing for this individual. But I remember calling the cops. It was a Saturday night, early Sunday morning. I called 911. Of course, they're like, "Is he actively trying to get in your house?" I'm like, "Well, not really, not yet." "All right, well, we're really busy, so we might try to get out there." Okay. So it wasn't until the fourth time I called them and said, "Yes, he's trying to break in," that they were there. Now, this was a half an hour process. Nobody was there to save me if that guy decided he wanted to get in the house right then and there. I had to protect myself and my wife. This is before we had kids. You have to look at that in all situations. Do you have enough money or a credit card to get fuel home if your company goes belly up? Do you have enough credit or money to get a tow truck so you can get your truck repaired if you have an accident? Because some leasing companies will pay for that, some won't. Now, if you're a company guy, obviously that's not your problem. But I know quite a few owner ops that have been in that situation, and they can't handle that. So these are the things that you need to think about. That's what I mean about having a backup plan. It's not paranoia. It's not. You got to have the what if worst case scenario situations. There's Truckers Final Mile. They specialize in bringing people that have died in their trucks home, because the cost of bringing someone across state lines after they've deceased is astronomical. Do you have a plan for that? Now, if you don't freak out, but just be aware that these are things that could possibly happen, and use that freak out, that anxiety to solve these problems, or at least help mitigate against that risk. And we've seen it time and time again. Trucking companies going out of business, trucking companies shutting off fuel cards. And if you're in somewhere dangerous when it's dangerously hot or dangerously cold. I mean, I remember I broke down. Uh, I remember I was my first breakdown as an owner operator. I almost pulled into the scale house there off of 94 in Indiana, and it was unmanned. There was nobody in there, but I didn't. I said no. I'm going to see if I can limp this to the next truck stop, and I'm glad I did, because after a while the truck stopped idling. The truck shut off, and it was 40 below zero wind chills. That would have been an incredibly dangerous situation to be in. And what if at that way station there was no phone signal? Well, no other trucks are pulling in there. And back then I was with Sprint, and and that was very likely to happen. So you have to have an emergency plan in place for weather, accidents. Here's another scenario. A colleague of mine was once on what was it, 81? Maybe not 81. It was in upstate New York, and it was near Buffalo, and and literally stopped on the interstate. Too much snow, nowhere to go. You can't go anywhere. Like, to the point that, and they were there for 3 days, to the point that the military come out with fuel to help trucks that were running out of fuel. Now, at that time, the company he was with had an anti-idle set up for only 5 minutes. So if the truck idled for 5 minutes, it shut off. And the APU stopped working. So he was miserable, and he was out of food. He didn't have enough food and water on the truck to live for 3 days if he couldn't make it to a truck stop. So he started the truck up, get the heat cranked. He would put it into gear or put it in neutral to put the foot on the brake. He didn't know that you can, just put wheel chocks down and the truck thinks it's getting ready to go. But I mean, these are the things, from that point on, he said, I always carried a couple of gallons of water and a loaf of bread and some peanut butter, because, or some canned goods. That way I've got something to eat. Now, I don't recommend the bread, but you know what I'm saying, though. It's cheap, it's easy. So these are the things that you need to think about. And again, I don't care what platform you're driving. I don't care if you're owner op, lease op, company, team, solo, doesn't matter. You got to have something in place to get you home, to get the truck where it needs to be, and someone to be you can call that will help you out. So there's my lesson for today. Let's get to the comments, and then we'll get to the low board stuff. Thank God for the mute button. All right. So let's see. We got quite a few people in here. Thank you very much. WCF Invader, my man. Pigtail, what's up? My name is Nobody. Good morning. Elroy Logistics, blessed morning, Steve. Thank you. Freight, cheap freight hauler. Good morning. CB, peace from Indiana. Mr. Charles, haven't heard from you in a while. Good morning. Truckers Anonymous, good morning. CDN, good morning. Happy Friday. Yes, happy Friday. Good morning, all. Hope you are having a good week. We've had it started off slow, and I hope you're having a good week too, David. It started off slow, but we got a couple of dispatches in that are that's making some drivers some money, and therefore it helps me out a little bit too. Rock Van Life, good morning to all you drivers. It's coffee time. How do you do that cool font? That's neat. Lance, good morning. It's almost mature buck harvesting season. Oh yeah, you're right. They this is off topic, but they a hunter in Missouri, I think it was Missouri, had like this AT point, but it was a doe. Isn't that weird? Said it's a I forget one in how many thousands chance of that happening. I guess it's an anomaly that some does have antlers, and that really surprised me. I didn't know that. So, of course, the guys that went hunting with the year before last, they're like the Yodas of hunting, and they knew more than I'll ever learn, right? And yeah, so pretty cool. I'm in KC for the weekend. Anyone know of a great barbecue place? Well, that would be a good question for Pigtail there. I went to sleep with the AC on last night, woke up freezing hours later. Bunk heater was tested. Love having my EPU got down to 45 degrees here last night. Yes, that's a good point. Be testing your bunk heaters right now before it gets seriously cold. If you use those, I don't have a bunk. Well, I didn't have a bunk heater in my truck. As long as the APU was running, I was good. I had an electric heater that I plugged into the generator. But I have used a bunk heater before, and those things get hot, man. One time I dropped a receipt near the vent, and I woke up to the smell of burning wood. And I get up, and the receipt was in front of the heat vent, and I picked it up. It was brown. It hadn't burned. It hadn't caught fire, luckily. But man, that things get pretty hot. Todd Norris, good morning. Glad to see you are getting ready to roll. Hide your caches now. Fill your bag from them later. There you go. Good morning. Plenty of coffee. Hope your ragweed is not as bad as in South Georgia. It probably is because I don't know if this is allergies or allergies turn into a head cold, but I'm definitely finding it. This time of year, it gets really bad for me, and I know that the trees are getting ready to turn here in Missouri. I know that they're already starting to turn in some of the other cooler places, more northern places, but you know. Well, this is the subject I enjoy, says David. There you go. APU equals better sleep. I have a lot of thoughts and comments. I bet you do. I'll take doe meat all day long. Yes, so the first time I went hunting didn't get squat, but the second time I went hunting I got a doe and a buck. The buck turned all into sausage and jerky and all that stuff and hamburger, and then the doe was the one where I got all the steaks and stuff like that. Rockin' Ramen, good to see you, Doug. Year and a half old doe backstrap is worth 10 T-bones. There you go. Cheap freight hauler arrow shut down right before Christmas when most are lighter on emergency funds or extra cash on hand. That is true. That was the timing of that was just absolutely horrible. It was such a sad deal, man. And then when you find out later what the son of the owner was doing with the company and basically just using it like an open check and having cocaine parties in the office and everything, it really shows you the level of respect that some companies have for their drivers. And you have to keep that in mind. You have to keep that in mind. Steve, excellent topic and reminder. This applies to anyone that runs their business or an employee. Stuff can happen, and you always should have an emergency plan and funds for at least 3 months, ideal 6. Yeah, so let's say you had a company driver, right? And all this stuff falls apart. Like they have an accident. And what are you going to do? It's like, well, it sucks to be you, man. I don't know. I can't help you. Would you work for a company like that? Now, if you're owner op, all that's on you. But if you're a company driver, can that person that you're working for be able to supply that for you? Will they get you home? Will they get you a rental car? Will they get you a Greyhound? Will they get you a hotel? And that's, and if they don't, then you don't want to work for that company. I'll always carry my bow with me just in case. When seconds count, police are minutes away. If you can think of it, it can happen. Have to be prepared, yes. Dehydrated food on the truck with the water purifiers. I never went to that level, and I probably should have, right? Amen, brother. I'm more lethal with my bow than anything in my arsenal. Sage says, sorry to hear you lost all your tools in a boating accident. Good advice and timing, because a lot of companies may have had the automobile industry as a large percentage of their business. Surprisingly, haven't seen any carriers fold with the new UAW strike. That is a great point, Charles. And I will say that give it time, depending on how long the strike lasts. I know FreightWaves yesterday was talking about the impacts. Like Kansas City market, tender rejections went up, but because of other factors, it was kind of a false positive, and it really wasn't changing anything. But they're starting to talk about the companies that are hurting from this strike. So, hi, Steve. I think you've provided tips. You know your carrier could be experiencing financial problems. This is a great time to provide them. Um, like, are you asking me or telling me? This is a great time to provide them. Yeah, I mean, look, one of the first signs that your carrier is financially hurting is your paychecks start coming late. A lot of the people at Arrow, we're going to use Arrow as an example. A lot of people at Arrow, they hadn't gotten a settlement in 3 or 4 weeks. Now, I remember working at a restaurant, and I went to cash my check, and the bank said, "Yeah, we can't cash this yet." I'm like, "Why not?" And this was on Friday. Well, the funds aren't in the bank. Like, oh, okay, that's a problem. So I went down to the local grocery store, and they cashed a check for like 2% or something like that. And I told the boss about it. He's like, "Yeah, I don't do that anymore." I'm like, "Well, don't write me a check that's not good yet. You pay me on Friday, not Tuesday when it hits the bank." And eventually that restaurant went under. So you got to look for those signs. The other signs is if there's a drop trailer pull, then you start seeing the trailers getting worse and worse and worse. They're not fixing tires, so they tell you, hey, you need to wait, or they're asking you to do stuff illegal instead of doing the repairs on the road. So that's another sign. So, and then layoffs. Pay attention to the accounts that your company has. If a big account is lost, like you're talking to one of your colleagues, like, yeah, man, I was on the Walmart account, but we don't have that anymore. Pay attention to that. So stuff like that. This is a very good topic, says Shadow Wolf. Thank you. Mark Ely, good morning, everyone. Josh the vegan, howdy y'all. Trans deer? No, I don't think that. No, it was a female for sure, but it just had antlers. So, But anyways, sorry, I forgot to hit the mute button. All right, so let's present, share screen, window, share. All right, there's your van load availability. This is the 123 low board, so check it out. Almost hit end stream. That would have been dumb. This is the load availability map. As you can see, this is for dry van. California is green, Texas is green, but you're not going to get good rates coming out of Texas depending on the product. New York, Wisconsin's good. So let's look at the volumes. 618 outbound, interstate 430, inbound 1009. Let's take a look. Let's see what Texas is doing here. Look at $1.69 to go from Port Arthur, Texas to Tulsa, Oklahoma. Now, that's not that great. But if it gets you, if you're going to take a hit, that's a short hit. Tulsa puts you in the Joplin, Missouri market. Let's see here. Let's sort this by highest rate per mile. That'll give you all the short stuff. 636 a mile, $700 to go from Wilbur to Durant. That's a good load. Yeah, it's way above the average. So I wonder what the deal is. Now, if it's going to Durant, it's probably going to Big Lots. It could take a while to unload. I used to pick up deliver there all the time. Hawkins to Fort Smith, $600, 234 a mile. From Fort Smith, you're hitting either Little Rock or Rogers Market. It's kind of in between there. It's heavy, so you're going to burn fuel through those Ozark Mountains. Let's see. Hawkins, Texas to Fort Smith. That's also going to be water, so that's definitely going to be heavy. I've done this run, not the Fort Smith, but it went to where did it go? It went to Fulton, Missouri, I think. There's a Nestle water plant there. There's like this little itty bitty hole in the wall place that will sell you a skill ticket. This one's 320 a mile going to El Paso, from El Paso to Greeley, Colorado. That is a good rate. 2200 picks up Monday at 3 p.m. delivers Wednesday. You're looking at 777 miles, 2-day run, 40,000 pounds. Looks like a generic weight. Oh, it's got 2 stops, Colorado Springs. So that's why it's above average there. Let's look at intrastate Texas. Now, you have to have an intrastate permit to run intrastate Texas, which we do have here at Like Trucking. This is where your a lot of your short haul. So let's do the highest rate and see if it's stuff that you can do in a day. There inside Texas. 1475, 248 a mile. Oh, it's hazmat. That's why it's so high. Harlingen, Texas to Dallas, 231 a mile, $1,200, 520 miles, another day drive. So El Paso to Grand Prairie, 627, a little bit. That's not until the 14th. So you got not too bad on the intrastate rates. Houston to Austin, 875. And then they got Dallas to El Paso for $1.26 a mile. So tell them to kiss it. Dallas to Houston, 248 a mile, $600. So, anyways, let's take a look at Missouri. Missouri intrastate. Let's take a look at that. Sort by highest rate, overall rate, because we're not really worried about rate per mile on a daily run. Kansas City to Macon, Missouri, 381 a mile, 625. So you're looking at nothing's above $625. St. Louis, Kansas City, 600. Let's take a look at that one. Picks up today. Picks up today at 2:30, delivers at 7 a.m. on Monday. So unless you live in Missouri, this ain't a great load on your daily rate, unless you need a restart. 249 miles. They're a little bit below where it needs to be. Cargo Chief's got it at 835. So, and I have noticed that in Missouri. Well, here's Springfield to Kabul. I keep trying to land these, and no one will answer their damn phone. So I'm going to save this, see if I can't get a hold of this person. Because here's the deal: if I could do one of these a day at a certain price, it'll be good money because you'll be burning very little fuel. It's a 78-mile run, 77. So me and a driver have been talking about these, and I just can't get anybody on the phone or email. It's crazy. Pepsi Logistics, do better, please. Springfield to Rolla, that'd be another good run that could be daily. This is probably Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola itself, the company, can be unpredictable. So, um, the companies that the brokers and the trucking companies that work with them, like they'll go from having one load in a day to 6 that need to be done by tomorrow. That kind of thing. St. Louis to Springfield. That's going to be a Pepsi load, obviously Pepsi Logistics, but let's see what the weight is on this. 43 picks up at 10 a.m. on Wednesday, delivers the next day at 6 a.m. Critical pick. So critical that they're already trying to book it from next Wednesday. So not a whole lot of Missouri interstate. Let's see, there's 15 loads. All right, let's switch this to reefer. How do you calculate tolls? Well, there's a toll calculator, so let's pick a load. Let's see. Let's pick a load out of Pennsylvania here. We're bound to hit a toll. Go down to your toll calculator. Boom, $290 in tolls. Now, that's a high estimate because Pennsylvania goes by weight, right? So a truck hauling 15,000 is going to cost less than a truck hauling 44,000. So now, the other thing you can do is you can go to rate check. Let's say you got a load going from New Stanton to Mechanicsburg, right? So you put in New Stanton, New Stanton Pa, going to, actually, we'll leave it in Pittsburgh there. All right. For van, get rate. This will tell you average rate, but it'll also tell you the toll costs. 1160. It'll give you estimated fuel costs at 6 miles per gallon. So let's do Carlisle. Carlisle, Pennsylvania. Get rate. Look at that. Toll cost $215. So you can use this rate check to check that, right? So like let's do Des Moines, Iowa to Gary, Indiana. There should be a toll there. They're on 80. Get rate. Yep, $5.50 in tolls. So that's how I calculate tolls. It's one of the things I like about the 123 low board. So there you go. Acceleration rules. Nashville market going to Chicago, please. So let's take a look. Create new search. Nashville, Tennessee, going to Chicago. We'll do let's do today, the whole weekend, and Monday. See what pops up. Apply. I'm assuming van acceleration. So let's go by the highest rate here. Yeah, man, look at that. They're only wanting to pay, like, very few loads are paying above 1,000. Or, well, there's none paying above 1,000 going from Camden, Tennessee to Mount Pleasant, Wisconsin. Rates are kind of low. So I take a look at these, even though they're not posted. There's really not a whole lot. These are 8+ hour postings. So we go on the age of the posting, click on that, and the newest load was posted 10 minutes ago. Jeffersonville, Indiana, Melrose Park. They're only at 475 for 314 miles. You got to be kidding me. Deadhead 160 miles to grab a $475 load. You know, if you're going to, yeah, so not great. So good luck to you. Lance Calhoun, you got Kansas City to Fort Smith Drive today, fixing the Deadhead. So let's do that. Kansas City. City, Missouri, going to Fort Smith. Fort Smith. Let's do it for today. Apply. Search. You're looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 loads. Jeff City to Morrilton, so that's going to be paper, obviously. And I know that run. I've done that run. It's you got to the place where you pick up. You got to pick it up in a building and then go to a separate place over there off of 44 to scale it out, and then you can leave. Then it goes down to Morrilton, which you're going through the woods. You know, you click on this, you look at the map. You're going to take 44 to 65, I think. US 65. Yep. So this is all mountainous. This is all mountainous. This is definitely all mountainous. It's a crappy run. Let's see, and then that still puts you at 96 miles from Fort Smith. Joplin, Muskogee. This a bit of a deadhead. Muskogee is not too bad. Beatrice, Nebraska to Springfield, Missouri. So, and then you got Joplin and Muskogee a couple of times. So not much there. Not much worth doing at all. So you got this one that picks up at 8, delivers at 220 today. So this might be a quick $600. It's about what you're going to get. Green Screens has got it at 666. And if that delivers straight through, then that might help. But you're still it's not too bad. That's not too bad of a run, but you're still going to deadhead home a little bit, right? Not too bad though, about an hour. So straight down 40. So, but it's a bit of a deadhead. So is it worth it after that deadhead? You have to look at that. It's 8-hour old posting. So, but I would call Transloop, see if they got that, and then hit refresh on that. So I emailed the Springfield to Rolla load. They responded Rolla Springfield for $600. I responded, does it pick up in Springfield? No response yet. It wasn't working on the rate check for Huron, Ohio to Sioux City for whatever reason. Well, that's weird. Just figure $500 per tolls, right? Drive in. I had that right. Good deal. Looks like a good weekend to take a mental health day of driving. There you go. And look, you bring up a good point. That has to happen sometimes. If you're constantly on the fringe, man, that's when you're going to make a stupid mistake and have an accident. Trust me, I've seen it. I've seen it recently. So just be careful. Midwest is going to be tough because of the strike. All those trucks looking to stay rolling. Extra trucks that are normally pulling other that are not normally pulling other spot freight. Yeah, so Missouri. So let's go back to the load availability. Map for effect. We were on reefer. Let's go back to van here. So you're going to see dynamics change in California, Texas, Michigan, Indiana, Ohio, and Missouri, Kansas City, anywhere where you know where a plant is. But it's all the other companies that these plants feed, as far as like parts, nuts and bolts, plastic pieces. And then it's also going to take away from the overseas shipping that where they ship out some of the plastic and electronic components that aren't made here. So get you out of Cheyenne. All right, well we could try that. Good luck, right? So go to find loads. What are you doing in Cheyenne? Wimpy. That's a wimpy place to be. Cheyenne, Wyoming to anywhere. Anywhere. Okay. That's easy. Anywhere. Click on that. Pick it for today. And here's the first tip, Cheyenne. Extend this to 250-mile radius deadhead. Search. Hey, here you go. Here's your best bet. Ariba, Colorado. Go to Kansas City, Kansas. Average is Cargo Chief's got it at 225 a mile. Picks up at 8 a.m. If you're hauling beer, you can actually do that. Oh wait, maybe not. You have to check with the beer permit, see if you need it through Kansas. If it's beer, it may not be beer. I've never heard of Ariba, Colorado. Warland, Wyoming. That's 255-mile deadhead going to Kansas City. $1.93 is the average. Albuquerque, but you don't want to do that unless you want to haul pumpkins. I had a driver pick up not anybody I dispatched, but he picked up a load of pumpkins, and I just started laughing at him. He goes, "What's so funny?" I said, "You'll see." But hey, some people are willing to put up with that. These long runs like the PA or North Carolina, avoid them. So your best bet is to find something within a 200-mile radius and get it to Kansas City. Fort Collins to Salt Lake. It's a little low for that. You're actually here's one right directly out of Cheyenne, but you're going to Nevada. Picks up today, no posted rate. Van 42.8 cat litter, so you know it's going to be heavy. A lot of mountains through there, so you're going to get about 5 miles to the gallon on fuel. Don't care what truck you have. And a lot of this Golden, Colorado. Let's see what the weight is on these. This is empty can loads. That's what this is. Picks up at 5, delivers 11:30 on Monday. $2,000. Need a plate trailer. It's going to be 5 or 6 thousand pounds. Usually, like Venture Connect's got those. Usually, Arrive Logistics has those. Depends on what mood everybody's in that day. And then you got Aurora to Omaha, which wouldn't be too bad, but it's Pepsi Logistics, so you know how easy it is to get a hold of them. So, so yeah, easy. A little bit of deadhead, but I wish these Goldens went to Kansas City or St. Louis. That'd be your best bet. Aurora to Hayes, which that's going to be beer. Oh, you know where Hayes, Kansas is. Let's take a look at this map real quick. Yeah, middle of nowhere. Picks up at 5 today. So a lot of last minute postings. Niagara Water. So yeah, it's definitely going to be heavy. So there you go. Denver delivery. Obviously looking for a load. T-Bone, what's up? So all right. All right, let's take a look at reefer freight. Helps if I hit apply. Utah, look, Utah's lit up. Let's see what that's about. Syracuse, Utah to Shelbyville, Indiana. Shelbyville, I believe, puts you near Indy. Puts you in a good market. So if you're looking for a decent weekend run, this is it. But it picks up Sunday. So if I had to guess, if I was a guessing man, this is Dan and Yogurt. Let's scroll down. It doesn't say. It looks like a 5 a.m. delivery. So it picks up Sunday, delivers Wednesday. And it looks like those are averaging about between 31 and 3,900. So probably going to get closer to 32 on that, which isn't bad for a 2-day run. Let's see. Syracuse, Utah to Forest Park, Georgia. Let's take a look at that. Let's see. Picks up Saturday, right? Picks up tomorrow. Goes to Georgia for Tuesday. Now, Monday is Columbus Day. I don't know if you guys realize that. We all know that the feds love their holidays, so you need to get your money. Salt Lake to Tully, New York. They're at $220 a mile, $4,500. Or you can go to Florida for $5,500. So let's do the highest rate. See what the highest paying thing coming out of Utah is. Ogden to Haines City, 5,500, 237 a mile, 21,000 pounds. See if they got a description here. No temp posted. So picks up today, delivers Tuesday. So it's a 44-minute old posting. So this might still be available. Saxonburg, PA, Salt Lake to Saxonburg, Pennsylvania. So let's take a look at this one. Picks up Monday at 11 a.m. and delivers Wednesday at 11 p.m. Let's look at the tolls on this. You're looking at $115 in tolls. So Triple T Transport. Here we go. Pleasant Grove, Utah to Wentzville, Missouri. They're only at 210 a mile. Picks up Tuesday, delivers Thursday. 20,000 pounds. Frozen poultry. So your reefer's going to be working a little bit. And then you've got Tremonton, Utah to Mount Pleasant. So not as bad as I thought. But then you got this, Salt Lake to Green Bay for $1.20 a mile. King of Freight. Phoenix, Arizona. That's 247 a mile. Then you got to make sure you get out of Arizona, and then Oregon, of course, is cheap for some reason. 44,000 pounds from Grantsville, Utah to Freedom, Oklahoma. That's kind of pushing the weight on that reefer there. Let's take a look here. Van or reefer, so that's a van rate. So that explains some of these. Like here, this is unsustainable, people. This is something that you should have been preparing for when the rates were good. Springville, Utah picks up at 12 Monday. The Bessemer, Alabama. They're posting it for 94 cents a mile. $1,700 for what? 3 days of driving? Is that sustainable for your business? Can you profit off of that? So if you take in toll costs plus 20%, let's say you're at 80/20 company, you're in the hole 6 cents a mile. You're paying $102 for that load. You are paying $102 for the privilege of doing that load. That is less than free. And that's just after fuel and your percentage. Now, if you have your own authority, of course, you remove this 20%. But still, you're literally giving someone 6 cents a mile to do this run. Now, you don't want to focus on one load. So, for the profit you made from the last load, hopefully it was enough to kind of offset this. But the reality is, you have people running nothing but stuff like this that are slowly going out of business. They don't even realize it. Maybe because their costs are too high. Let's say you're a Snyder Finance guy and you're running this run. You're just $102 after percentage and fuel. Imagine your truck payment. Imagine your insurance. And if you're not doing your numbers, how do you know that? So this is something that you have to be aware of. And most people aren't. There's a lot of people that are not aware of this. Now, obviously, if you're going to negotiate on this run, you want to negotiate way higher. I mean, look how much lower they are. Cargo Chief's got this at 38.58. They said it's a truckload. They said it's 29,000 pounds. So that's a full truck. So either this broker is being strangled by his customer, or this broker has no idea what the market rate is on this lane. And do you really want to deal with someone like that? Do you really want to work with someone that doesn't know that what they're wanting is unsustainable? So this is one of those cases where I'm not even going to call on this. If that's your negotiating tactic, to not have people like me that are smart and call on this load, then mission accomplished. I'm not here to educate you. Now, some guys will call and say, "Hey, your rate sucks. And this is why." No, 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 no. Man, they don't care. They truly don't care, or else they would do the research before they would post a load like this. So Jose, good morning. It's 8 o'clock, so my YouTube's going crazy. Has anyone started using vhubapp.com to book power only so you can lead out? Has anyone delivered to a Tractor Supply store? Can you deliver before the store opens? Depends if they're in the store. I think they normally get there about an hour before the store opens. Yeah, and you kind of want to show up just case because other trucks might be showing up as well. Can you check Interstate California Drive-In? I like to see spot market rates versus the contract here at the Big Orange. No problem. So let's switch this to van. Apply. Click on California. Click on Interstate. Click on highest rate. There you go. McDowell, California to San Diego. 261 a mile, $2,000. Picks up Sunday at 7 a.m. 765 miles. Says 34 degrees. I thought I put this on van. It says van. You gotta love it. So obviously we're going to ignore these listo loads. San Diego to Santa Rosa, 210 a mile, 1250. 950 to go from Biggs to Irwindale. Mira Loma to Livermore. Ontario to Tracy. Chino to Sacramento. Lowest one I'm seeing per mile is this one. Ukiah, California to City of Industry, $1.77 a mile. Cargo Chief's not too, or rate check's not too far removed from that. San Diego to Santa Maria. So those are your rates, southbound. Some are good, some are bad. Here's $1.52 to go from Garden Grove to Sacramento. So they're kind of all over the place. The herd rarely realize it's being thinned until the herd has been thinned, right? Or they're being driven off the cliff. That's when it's cheaper to deadhead home, right? They normally. Let me go back to that comment. So that's a good point, cheap freight hauler. If that's like your only option, just go home, right? There's no deadhead to a better area if you're not ready to go home. Because obviously, but there were other options. That's what really surprised me. When you have zero options and they post freight like that, like they do out of Florida, then you have a strategy for that. But when you have other options, why would a broker post like that? Well, if either they're trying to maximize their profits or the shipper has no idea what, and they're not being educated on what it costs to ship something. If I went to UPS, hey, I need to ship this package for $3 and it's a big, heavy 100-pound package, they're going to be like, well, good luck with that. Well, why? Well, because it actually costs this, 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 this. Oh, okay. Well, crap. I don't have that in my budget. Well, have a good day. Good luck finding someone that will ship that for $3. That kind of thing. It's kind of how you have to simplify it, right? Mr. Charles, who does have a lot of experience with this, they are normally a little before store opens, depending on the store and a lot. Some are just available to park their night before, but some are small. That load on rate per day is 566, so neither per mile per day works. Don't take the load. Absolutely correct. I used to love TSC when I was at Schneider. Love the Tractor Supply multi stops. Yes. Spot market is significantly higher rates. Thanks, Steve. There you go. Too many carriers and especially too many brokers. There's too much of everything, right? Thin the herd. Well, maybe a good nuke will take care of that, right? So, um, let's take a look at reefer here. Let's see what's coming out of Georgia. Georgia's lit up. Now, all these other markets surrounding Georgia are yellow and red, so that's gonna soften the Georgia market. Georgia market's been horrible for van. It used to be the top one in the country, even over the Midwest for a minute, but not anymore. All right, sorry about that. Yeah, see, look, we're at the highest rate, $1.44 a mile, 3,300 to go from Georgia to California. So let's sort this by rate per mile to get our shorter stuff. See what kind of daily rate we can get. Here we go, $7.99 a mile, Athens to Asheville. So let's see what's going on with this one. 1,300 for 160 miles, so there's got to be a catch. I bet you it's multiple stops, even though they haven't listed that, because SRAM usually doesn't pay that much higher than everybody else. Looks like they got a couple of these. And they're multiple posting, so there's that. AMX, I've been working with AMX here lately. They're not too bad. I've been working with them quite a bit, to be honest with you, and they're decent rates. They have a shipper in Union City that they've been shipping out of. Oh, this is all reefer, so you're looking at 800 to 1,400. So McDonough to Orlando, obviously, it's going to be higher going into Florida. Same thing with this one. So, but anyways, uh, let me go back cheap for y'all here. Jay had been great for me this week. Good deal. Glad to see it. 5 loads, 5 days, haven't been more than 270 miles from the house. Good deal. This summer has been rough for rates, but it's almost follow the weather time if you're willing to chain up. Yes. You can either follow the weather or avoid the weather, right? I do a strategic following. So, like, let's say there's a snowstorm going on in Columbus, Ohio, right? But let's say you're in, I don't know, let's say you're in Arizona. Well, by the time that snowstorm hits, you can use that for your leverage. Like, hey, man, it's snowing really bad in Columbus. But by the time you get there, the snow is going to be gone. So, anyways, how successful have you been with Cargo Chief and the broker working towards that recommended amount? It's it's been fairly accurate. Um I always ask above, and if they're nowhere near it, then I usually don't call. Um so the Cargo Chief's been fairly accurate. It's been, it's better than the DAT 30-day that I've noticed. Now the DAT 14 and the DAT 7, I don't know how accurate it is compared to that, but it's going off the actual freight bill. So if they're way low, then you want to figure out why. Maybe the market took a dump, and their computers and AI are telling them to price it lower because they see an influx of trucks. So it's a decent model that I don't rely heavily on. I'm looking at several different factors. A load might make sense on paper, but then after fuel and everything, it may not be as good as you thought, and vice versa. Sometimes a load doesn't look good on paper, but it works out really well. And are you the type of driver that will take a lower rate because it's lighter, knowing that your net's going to be better because of less fuel consumption, that kind of thing. And that's a strategy. It all depends on the individual, right? So, but Cargo Chief has been fairly accurate on that. So, I will give it that. So, I like my Minnesota soda loads in the wintertime. I like to follow the weather, but not being in front of it, right? So I remember I got out of Columbus, Ohio, right as a snowstorm was hitting. The lot was getting pretty dangerous in the shipper I was picking up at, and I had to hightail it out of there. And I was able to get to Cuba, Missouri, where I could shut down, and I stayed ahead of that storm the whole time. So, all right, well, thanks guys for watching. It's Friday. I hope you have a good, safe weekend, and I hope that if you're going to see the home, I hope you have a good home time, and if you're working, I hope you have a profit and you do well. Take care of yourself. Take care of each other, and strength for today, hope for tomorrow, and aggression turns the screws. Be smart. Be safe. Yada yada yada. Peace.